That was an improvisation on the changes to 500 Miles High by Chick Corea. In this video, I'm going to talk about what we might be thinking about or experiencing when we're improvising. I can only really go on my personal account on this, but let me know in the comments down below what your experience is like. Okay, so we have ideas, and that implies thinking, right? So if we have a little bit of a moment, when I started this solo, I had an idea. And then I'm going to work at developing that idea, maybe repeating it. We can work with the contour of the melodic line. We can work with the rhythm. So some of the thematic type playing, we might consider thinking, but we're really maybe coming up with an idea, holding that idea, and intuitively coming up with variations and expansions on the idea. So I find that when I'm playing, I'm really trying to avoid anything like I'm going to set out to do this or set out to do this, or I'm going to play such and such a scale or such and such an arpeggio. Rather than that, just kind of sitting in a more intuitive, moment by moment experience of how the notes interact with the rhythm section and the harmony, and then stringing together a coherent phrase that works within it. The real thinking part of this whole activity, I think, of playing the instrument and practicing the instrument and this music is to evaluate during playing, make some mental notes, and then practice and really sit down and think about what you're doing with the changes on a tune, so that when you go back into playing mode, you're just working with a more intuitive frame of mind and not really thinking so much about what you're doing, aside from maybe the arc of your phrase, your dynamics, nuances, and timing. Now we can think about different modes of playing, like, and I don't mean in terms of chord scales, but we have, let's say, more thematic kind of approach, and then a more working through the changes kind of approach. And we can mix those throughout our solo. And with both of those approaches, we want to have a little bit of an awareness of what notes might remain the same or continue to be consonant, and what notes are tending to change and move. So this tune is a good example of that. We have E minor 7. When we go into G minor 7 or G minor 6, let's say, we can imagine that these three notes are remaining the same, and then this tone here falls. So that means if we're playing melodically on this and we play on E minor, we play a B natural, we can in a sense play all the same notes except make the B flat. And that can help us both kind of weave through a progression and also work at some themes there. So I was working with a little outline On the E minor, so it's a D major triad over the E minor, and then I go more into E minor, not playing the exact lines, and then we have a contour there, kind of a first inversion. And so when I go to when the progression goes to the G minor, I'll play a similar contour here, which in a sense is E diminished. But I'm not really thinking of even those chords at all. I'm just thinking, oh, here are some little dissonances on this chord. Here's the contour of that shape. And if I want a similar contour going to this next chord, maybe a little more consonant, then I can just shift it up and adjust it to fit. So not so much thinking, but just awareness of consonance and dissonance. And this approach can really help folks out. You may have heard on the internet, arpeggios are the answer, or scales are the answer to, playing, improvisation, or what have you. And I think that's really helpful, but I think there is maybe a perspective shift that can help take things to the next level, which is arpeggios, let's say those that are inside the chord sound, are going to sound consonant. It's not that we have to play arpeggios, it's that we need an awareness of where the consonances are. And then all those scales, whether they're 7-note scales or 8-note scales, or even 5-note scales, still offer those arpeggios embedded, but we have other notes that offer us slight tensions. And then if we broaden out into the full chromatic scale, we have the full spectrum of consonance and dissonance. So a few things to consider here. We have practice and we have playing. They're different things on the same instrument. We practice arpeggios so that we can hear and outline consonances within chord changes, or if you're getting more advanced, so that we can create tensions or more outside playing as well. Practicing scales so we can hear note collections within one octave. We want to practice those with association to chords. So back to thinking about things. When you go to play, prior to playing a tune, we're going to have an idea of what key we're possibly in. Is this a tonal type tune? Is it a modal type tune? What's the tempo? What's the style? What's the time period? Is it even eighths or swung? What are the chord changes? Does it visit different tonalities? What notes do the chords have in common as the progression moves through the form? Same for the note collections. So some things that you can do on this is we can try to practice maybe restricting our range of tones to play some changes to really get an understanding of how things are working and moving along. So let's say we have E minor 7. Okay, then we might stick nearby and play on a G minor 7. Same thing on B flat major 7. Okay, B minor 7 flat 5. E7 sharp 9. And so on like that. Maybe even work with a single change and go back and forth. So to sum up, I would say work with awareness during playing. Maybe think very lightly about your intention with dynamics, how long of a phrase you're going to play, maybe the intensity that you are going to build, maybe variations on some themes that you may have just improvised, and now you can just keep spinning those out. Have an awareness of what notes stay the same, what notes change as the chords move through the progression. An awareness of where one is in the form, your intention to take a certain number of choruses, and how what we play feels appropriate within the moment and the context of the group and the interaction in a conversational way. Okay, so there are some of my thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Please like and subscribe and join our email list for lessons sent straight to your inbox. Check the link in the description down below. Enjoy your practice session, and I'll see you all in the next one.